Welcome. Hello. To Angel and the Wiz.
Yes, yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very good. Okay. Okay, here we go. Always nice to see you, Princess.
Wonderful to see you too, Wiz.
Oh, you're very kind to say so. One of the people that watches the show said, I made a comment today about jobs, and they wanted me to make sure I said it on the air. So just let me say, a job is something that you do to get paid. And it is something that they pay you to do, which means they get to decide what it is that you do. And I know that may seem like a foreign concept to some, but that's really what it is. So if you have a job and you work for somebody, they are paying you to do something, and they have the right, within reason, to have you do anything in a host that's in your job description, right? Okay, so I mean, if you are supposed to work in Studio A, but they want you to work in Studio B, it's not a question of, well, I want to work in Studio A, you work in
There's
Studio
always that tagline in the job description that says, and other duties deemed necessary to maintain function of facility or some stupid like that.
That's right.
And whenever you get, oh, I don't really want to do it well, and they pull up the job description, and you're
Says
like,
right here, you're supposed to. And let me share with you, we had a magical moment last week, in the sense that Tink heard a song that I wrote called Sunshine Down the Line, and she seems to think it's okay. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to have it at the end of this week's show.
Yeah, I love the song.
So we'll have it. That's so nice. You really do like it?
I do love it.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
It's such an inspirational song.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
When you have a crappy day, and then you're like, oh, but there's going to be sunshine down the
line.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and can I tell you that as a songwriter, that's what matters. When and I'm a singer and a songwriter, but when you hear your record on the radio and you're a writer, you don't think about the performance as much as you think about, I wrote those words, you know what I mean?
That's pretty cool.
Okay, now, in the coming weeks, we're going to go back down this, but I still want to get the eye contact out. We got to get to that. But something has come up. This is very interesting. We have a chance to learn from somebody who can give us some insight, and that's always a good thing. So, bankruptcy is something that's happening to a lot of people.
Yes.
They're being exposed to bankruptcy. Even myself, I'm on the verge of deciding. So I wanted to ask our lovely Angel if she would be kind enough to let's talk a little bit. We only got 22 minutes, and we've already talked over 3 of them. So, but the idea is that. So we want to talk about this week we're going to talk about bankruptcy.
Okay.
I want to start at deciding to do it. Where do you have to be when you decide to do it, and then do you have to get other information?
Here's my story. I made dumb decisions when I was high school, college, as a lot of people do.
Okay.
Dumb financial decisions.
Right.
And the only person I have to blame is myself. I graduated college, and I was once I graduated college and actually got a job and was in the real world, I realized how damaging my stupidity was.
Oh, wow, okay.
To myself.
Right.
And
don't feel bad. There's a lot of us out there.
And it started with just having to purchase a car.
Okay.
Because I needed a car. My other car was dead, dying.
Right.
It wasn't going to last much longer. And a dealership I went to offered a deal for if you graduated within the last 6 months.
Okay.
And you had a diploma with your, certificate, diploma with a date.
Uh-huh.
They gave you a specific. It was a lower interest rate, but it was a 72-month loan.
Okay.
No questions asked. You're going to get this.
Oh, that's nice.
And I said, okay, that's cool, but no bank wanted to loan me the money.
Right.
I must have gotten like 5 or 6 notifications saying, I'm sorry that you don't qualify to be have your loan through this bank. So I realized I had done some really stupid things with my money in the past, and I was trying to fix it. I did several things just to try and earn more money, working multiple jobs.
Sure. Hey, listen, you carry a workload now that scares me to death.
Well, this is fun, though.
Oh, yeah, but still it scares too.
So I tried working multiple jobs, picking up hours, working overtime as needed. And that helped, but then the spending, I didn't make the lifestyle changes that I needed. Again, I wasn't as smart as I could have been.
Okay.
Met somebody a really good friend of mine, who then showed me the importance of this lifestyle change, and I made some changes, and I consolidated some things, and I closed some credit cards, and things started to finally look up, and then raises didn't happen. As a teacher, in most states, most teachers haven't received pay increases.
Okay.
And what normally happens for teacher salaries is that it's based on years of service.
Okay.
So you get a certain rate for the first year, and then it increases. And even though it's little increases,
steady.
each year it's steady.
Okay.
And then what happens sometimes is, you have inflation and whatnot. So the unions get together with the school districts and the school board, and they renegotiate for a cost of living increase as well. So then everybody goes up, which didn't happen for 3 years. So what happened to us is the price of gas, which is a topic we'll probably talk about later, the price of gas increased to $4 a gallon.
Right.
Milk increased.
Yes.
All the basics that you need. But my money didn't increase.
Right.
So I am trying to live off of the same salary, and it was you couldn't. So then the credit cards started coming out, and you started to pay the bills like that, and then things happen.
Okay.
So it got out of control again.
Okay.
Realized my mistake. Made some lifestyle changes again.
Okay.
Then I enrolled in a debt reduction program.
Okay.
It worked. People say there's not a lot of reputable debt reduction programs out there.
Is that a fee-based program?
Sometimes, and there is. It is. And I did my research, and what I did is there's this website called lowermybills.com.
Right.
And you type in some information, and these agencies call you.
Right.
And I just kept asking questions. And the one that I went through, which I'm not going to say their name because I don't want advertising, there are fees involved because there's processing and paperwork fees because they have to go out to the creditors and renegotiate interest rates and contracts and stuff like that. So I did that, and it worked. I was doing better.
Okay.
But then again, things were increasing, and my pay wasn't increasing. Sold my car.
Okay.
I was making these steps, and I was struggling. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and that wasn't good.
Right.
When I say paycheck to paycheck, I'm talking like, if I was lucky at the end of the month, $100 left over.
Hey, believe me, I know what you mean about paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, and that's scary. And it's scary when I was also at the time going through some medical problems. I was getting sick and probably stress related as well because of finances.
Absolutely, stresses.
And so. My friend said maybe you should consider bankruptcy.
Okay.
And I said, I don't know, it's such a bad thing.
Right.
And my friend has a brother that's a lawyer, called him up and said, can you tell us more? He's not a bankruptcy attorney, but can you tell us more about the process or whatever? And, and he told us what he knew about it from the lawyer perspective. And he said, if you think it's necessary to do it, then you can do it. So we went and we got a free consultation with a bankruptcy attorney.
Okay, so the first step, once you realize you've got to do something.
I have to do something,
is you can probably find a free consultation, an initial consultation with a bankruptcy attorney. Okay, great.
And what it really did for me was somebody said this to me, and I don't remember I know it was my friend, but I don't know if he made it or if his brother had told him. But they said if the United States government is bailing out billion-trillion-dollar car companies because they made bad mistakes for 50-something years, they can bail out a 30-year-old for mistakes that she made 10 years ago.
Right.
And in the grand scheme. And I thought, that's very true. People have had such a negative connotation about bankruptcy because the implications.
That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, because the implications were you can't
manage your money.
You can't provide for yourself. And in some aspects that's true.
Right.
But what I think aided me is that it made that decision easier for me is because I did other steps.
Right.
I did everything that I could to get on track. And even though with the debt reduction program, I was on the right track. It just wasn't happening fast enough, and and the payments were getting challenging and frustrating.
Excuse me. I just want to throw out one thing too. On these debt reduction programs, you've got to really pay attention. You got to really look into them because there are sometimes they are doing things for you that you're paying a good shot for that you could do for yourself. You just may not be aware of it.
Right.
Okay, so do the research. She's a professional. So she does. So I would just make sure. I would just want to say that you may not actually need that company. You may find out that what that company is doing is something you could do on your own and wouldn't cost you any money. Because that's when I found out when I was doing my mortgage problem.
And that was true because I called a couple of the credit card companies that had high interest rates, and I said, "Hey, here's my deal. Will you negotiate with me and lower?" And they were so rude. I don't know if it was because I was young or if it because I was female or and I realized like I'm not going to get anywhere. Yeah, I didn't have the knowledge base to go and make these negotiations, and so what I needed to do was get a third party involved. And the fee that I paid for them was it was under $100, and it was built in. It was under $100 a month, which is fine. And when I questioned the fee, they said what it does is it keeps a lawyer on retainer from that company. So if the crediting agencies ever have any questions or doubt, they call this consolidation program, and then the lawyers get involved. And so I felt a little bit better about it.
It was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now listen, we realized we have to get to a lawyer. We went so the first step was a lawyer. What happened at the lawyer's?
He takes an evaluation of your finances. You bring some records in, and you don't have to have huge details, but you have to have enough information, including income and where your money goes and what you do. And you can't lie, and that's the big thing.
That's what I was going to say. It has to be reasonably honest, right?
Yeah, you can't lie. Like people try to lie, and I've witnessed people trying to lie, and you can't because when it comes to money, there's always a paper trail. They will find you, and I watched it, and you can't lie about this stuff.
And it doesn't help you if you're trying to work with somebody that's trying to help you. The better information they have, the more help they can give you.
Yes. So I had gone in and I said, look, I had sold my car, I had made this much money from it, and I did this and I did this, and so I was a pretty good candidate. Now the downside was, you can either qualify for Chapter 11 or for Chapter 13.
What's the difference?
Chapter 11 is when all of your debt is erased. All your debt is erased. Chapter 13 is where it's not. It's like a consolidation program, again, where a trustee, a court-appointed trustee handles everything. So I have money taken out of my account, and then he disperses it to the creditors.
Now, and you said you used that word qualify. You have to qualify for one or the other? You can't just choose one or the other?
No, you can't choose, and it's based on your income. Despite struggling with the low teacher salary, I still made too much money within a 6-month time frame. Because while I was going through all that consolidation process, I was still working as much as possible in overtime, which caused me to make more money. So I didn't qualify for Chapter 11, where debt is erased. You qualify for Chapter 13. But I'll tell you what they do is even if you qualify for Chapter 11 and you have a brand new car, you're gonna have to sell your car. Do you know what I mean? Because they're not. If people do stupid things, they're like, I'm gonna buy a 2011 Ford Mustang, and then 3 months later file for bankruptcy.
Oh, thinking they're going to keep the car.
Right? No, they're not. Now the courts and the government realizes obviously you need transportation, but they're going to force you to sell the car and get something more reasonable.
Then on next week's show, we'll talk about the gas that goes into that car. Not today. We don't have time. Okay, so listen. You sat down with your lawyer. You gave them the information, and then he helps you decide, or he lets you know which one you probably qualify for.
Yes. What the other downside to this is that you have to. For my lawyer, I had to pay about a little over $2,000 up front.
Wow.
And I don't blame them for doing this because people who file for bankruptcy, you're guaranteeing that your lawyer is going to get paid. Do you know what I mean? Because they're going to put some service hours into your case, so you want to make sure that they get paid. So that's kind of what the thing was. And because I had sold my car, I had some money left over, and you just save. Yeah, but then what they do is they tell you